CP3.
Welcome to Sports on the Hill podcast. Hashtag DC Sports Without the Politics with Carol and Robbie on True Radio Network. Thank you, gentlemen.
That's right. It's Monday night. Sports on the Hill podcast, True Radio Network, CP3 coming to you live from the lab, Robbie G coming to you live from the man cave, bringing you episode 236 of Sports on the Hill podcast, the best DC sports coverage around. We had a rough week as a Nats fan, going 1-6 last week. It was so rough that I put out a salute to the 2019 World Champions video on our page and on my YouTube channel, just to try to, make some of the fans feel better with the things that's transpired over these last couple of weeks with the team. Try to give, a little bit of silver lining to this dark cloud that's over baseball nation in DC right now. So we definitely want to talk about that. We're also going to have some Washington football talk with a special guest. We should have Big Hurt of Hurt's House talking some training camp, ramping up for the first preseason game on Thursday night, which will be on NFL Network. And then we'll wrap up the 2020 Tokyo Olympics with Robbie and a couple of special guests that he has coming on tonight. But before we go there, you always got to say what's going on, Robbie G. How you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm excited. I finally got back to Nationals Park, and I got to witness a situation where the Nationals didn't lose. So I was there last night at the Hella Mega Awesome Tour. I can see I got the merch right there. But I had a good time. I got to finally see the big banner up on the wall right behind Weezer and Green Day as they played, which was pretty awesome, Carol, because I've seen the championship banner for the Capitals a few times, but I haven't been back, obviously, to Nats Park since we had won it all. And so it was really a cool thing. And I was out in the outfield, Carol. I was on top of the grass. I've never been on top of it. I mean, they have a thing on between you and the grass, so you don't mess up the grass. But like, I'm right above it, so like, it's pretty cool to be down there. And it was just kind of a dream come true. I've been on the field of all the other major arenas, in the area, and so it was one of the ones I had not been. Now Audi Field and FedEx Field are the two that I haven't, so I got to get to those at some point. But anyway, I had a good time at the concert. It was fun to see a show with so many people again, and it was awesome. I'm sorry that the Nationals didn't have better luck while they were on the road, obviously. But it's an interesting week. Our goalie situation has been rectified. Last week we talked about trading to get Vitek Vanacek back, which is an incredible deal. We weren't sold on Sammy being the number one, right, Carol? That's kind of how we felt. So we gave Sammy a deal that spoke to that. We gave him a prove it $2 million 1-year contract and see if he does better.
I mean, like I said, I was upset when Double V, got picked up in the expansion draft. I was, glad we got him back for, a second-round pick. And Samsonov, like I said, I'm not really sold on him. We saw some flashes, we saw some glimpses pre-COVID, and, there's always that potential. And, he's been in the system for a while. And obviously they're around him and know what he can do and know what he does better than we do because we're not at practice and everything. But, yeah, I'm not really sold on him. But, you got to, solidify that goalie's position. That's very key. We were spoiled by Braden Holtby, having him for a while and, having that security and knowing that, he's going to be in there locked in, most, if not 95, 99% of the time. He's going to be, in top form, but you don't have that feeling right now with these young goalies because they have to find their way just like Braden did. So I like what Double V did during the season last year in his rookie year when he was called into duty, unexpectedly. So that's why I've been, riding for him. But we're gonna see what Samsonov do. Like you said, that contract speaks to the confidence they have in him. It's like a prove it deal. If you're gonna be the guy, this is your chance to prove it. If not, we already got somebody waiting in the wings to see if he's the guy.
Yeah, I'm happy with it, and the big question, I guess, is will there be a third guy in the mix, and like, do we kick the tires on Henrik Lundqvist and see what he could do, and his, just so it'll be interesting to see. This leaves the door possibly open. We don't have a ton of cap space. I was actually gonna pull up the cap space for the Capitals now. It's very tight. I think it was within 2 million. I think. Hold on, I'm pulling it up right now. Not even 668,000.
Wow.
So we'd have to probably move somebody to even fit him in. But maybe we give him a tryout or something. I don't know how that works. You just have to do the veteran minimum, and my guess is it's closer to $1 million. I don't know. It might be. I haven't looked at the current one. It might be close to that. So
hopefully with these new contracts with ESPN, they can get the salary cap raised high for hockey because.
I was listening. Did you hear what the players were saying about that? They were basically like they lost all this money and then they renegotiated after all that. So like I heard the same thing with the NBA too, where they were like telling players that the amount of money that they were supposed to be making, is based on all the lost revenue, and then they all come out with new TV deals, and suddenly they don't look so bad. So. Because the TV deal should go up because people are watching on TV, which makes sense. But it's interesting because the leagues are not losing the money, but the players' salaries, they're hitting a ceiling, which brings me back to baseball being such a weird sport, right? The fact that you could just keep on spending, but where in hockey it's so tight, like you have to be cap compliant, except for in the playoffs where Tampa Bay can somehow be like 13 million over and win the Stanley Cup, but. That's not here nor there. But anyway.
Loopholes for the rich, man. Loopholes for the rich.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I'm happy that we'll have the tandem back for another year. We'll see what they can do. They're really bringing the band back together, not bringing a whole lot of new pieces. We can see if Laviolette does better with the second season, which historically he has done better in the second season with a similar team. So we'll see if it pays off. It'll be a more regular season where they don't play the same teams over and over again, which would be really nice. And we'll see what happens next. But I'm excited, obviously, to Obi and the rest of the team back. And so we'll talk hockey soon. All right, well, that's all the hockey talk I have. I'll let you quickly go through some of the baseball stuff and then maybe an abbreviated Nat Talk segment because I know that they didn't do so well this week. And then when our special guest comes on, we can talk a little bit of football with him.
No doubt, no doubt. Let me get things situated over here. I'm gonna try to run through this horrible 1-6 week as quickly as possible. I was going to share it to some groups. I'm not even going to share it. It's a bad week. Past week, that is.
I'll share it to a couple of groups while you're talking.
Yeah, the Nationals actually are sitting right now 50-62, 12 games under 500. Fourth in the East. They're 3-7 in the last 10 games. They're 6.5 behind the Mets, 6 games behind Atlanta, and 8 games behind Philly, who is now taking over first place in the NL East after being fueled by the 4-game sweep that they put on the Nets last week up in Philly. It wasn't pretty at all. And the fact that Bryce Harper played a key role in 2 of those games. 2 of those victories, didn't make it any better.
Oh, Carol, I was also thinking we can bring in Arun to talk baseball with you as well. So if you want, we can do that as well.
You go ahead and bring in Arun because, I'm definitely going to need some help with this sad segment that we're about to get into with this 1-16. It was a ugly sweep to the Phillies. First game was a 7-5 loss. Archie Bailey earned the victory that puts him to 6-1. He went an inning and 2/3, gave up 1 hit, no runs, with 1 strikeout and no walks. Gabe Klobosits, that's the guy that was imploding when we were watching the game. This game was actually on during the show last week. He was in the game for an inning. He took the loss that drops him to 0-1. He gave up 2 hits, 2 earned runs with no strikeouts and no walks. Ryan Zimmerman had an RBI single, a pinch hit. Andrew Stevenson had a pitch hit solo home run. And Carter Kaiboom had a 2-run pinch hit home run to make the game look respectable late. But the bullpen gave up 5 runs in the ninth to kind of put things upside down for the Nats. They were able to get 2 runs in the bottom, but weren't able to. In the top, but weren't able to come back. Second game was a 5-4 loss. Zach Wheeler earned the victory for the Phillies. That put him at 9-6. He went 7 1/3, giving up 8 hits, 4 earned runs with 5 strikeouts and a walk. Patrick Corbin took the loss. That drops him to 6-10. He went 7 innings, giving up 6 hits, 4 earned runs with 8 strikeouts and 1 walk. And Jose Alvarado earned his 4th save by going 1 inning, giving him no hits, no runs with 2 strikeouts and no walks. Josh Bell went 1 for 4 with a 2-run home run. And Trace Barrera had an RBI ground out for RBI in that game also. Game 3 was a 9-5 loss. Matt Moore earned the victory. That put him at 1-3. He went 4 innings, giving up 3 hits, 2 earned runs with 3 strikeouts and no walks. Paolo Espino took the loss. That drops him to 3-3. He went 5 innings, giving up 8 hits, 6 earned runs with 3 strikeouts and a walk. Luis Garcia went 2 for 4 with 2 solo home runs. Kai Boom went 2 for 4 with the solo home run and the RBI single. And Victor Robles in his new leadoff role, which definitely isn't his strong suit right now. He went 1 for 3 with a solo home run. We really miss our leadoff guys. That's all I can say about that. Got to set the table for the big guys to eat. Seen a lot of solo home runs, but got to get some players and runners on base to get some, you do get these home runs to add to it. And that's been the Nats' problem, getting consistent offense. And the final game of the series, where the Nats were trying to salvage, found a way to lose this game, 7-6. Mauricio, try to pronounce this. Lorera, I think that's it. I'm gonna say that's it. Got the victory for the Phillies. That put him at 1-0. He went an inning, giving up no hits, no runs, no strikeouts, and no walks. Kyle Finnegan took the loss. That drops him to 4-3. He went an inning, giving up 3 hits, 4 runs, none of those earned, with 1 strikeout and no walks. And Archie Bradley earned his 2nd save, going to inning, giving up 2 hits, 1 run, not earned, with no strikeouts and no walks. Josh Bell went 3 for 5 with a 3-run home run and an RBI single. And Carter Kaiboom went 2 for 4 with the RBI single. This game, Finnegan, they put him in a closer role, which isn't his strong suit. He's still learning, with Hudson being traded and Brad Hand. The team doesn't have an official closer, but Finnegan, as I spoke about earlier in the season, was one of the more consistent middle relievers. When he came in, he handled his business. So they put him in that closer role, and unfortunately, this game it didn't work in our favor. Took the unfortunate sweep to the Phillies, which propelled them into their matchup later on in the week with the Mets, and they now taking over first place. Rune, did you get a chance to see this ugly 4-game sweep by the Phillies on the Washington Nationals? Because it was very hard to watch.
Yeah, I caught some of the series. Josiah Gray in the first game, he pitched pretty well. We gave him 1 earned run, but only pitched 5 innings, and then I don't know how to say goodbye. He blew the save, which was unfortunate. So I think maybe the Nats should rely more on Gray, pitch more than 5 innings. And then the second game, Bryce Harper hitting the homer off of Cabrera, second float save. Corbin was not really pitching that well either, even though Zach Wheeler struggled. Josh Bell hit that 2-run homer. And then Rodriguez hit Hoskins with an up-and pitch, and then Gregarious followed up with a 2-run homer. The good news was Garcia hit a 2-run homer. He became the youngest national to do that since Juan Soto a couple years ago. But it's another game where the Nats bullpen struggled. They gave up 3 more earned runs, and a bad sweep to the Phillies, and the Phillies put themselves in good playoff positioning, and the Nats fell further behind.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much when they, sold everything, we knew what was pretty much going to happen. I was, optimistic that the team could try to put something together, but with all the new pieces and folks getting used to being in these new positions, it's going to take a little bit of time, hopefully, until they can get some type of winning or some type of consistency going. Because only thing we've seen consistently is leads getting blown and things not getting taken advantage of when they have the opportunity and they have men on and men in scoring position and not taking advantage of it. Because that's definitely been the trend lately. They've been trying to get Zimmerman in the game more. Josh Bell has been playing well. He's at first base, and they've been getting Zim to come in to pinch hit late. He's been being effective in that, but I think we got to get there, find a way to get this guy in the lineup on a consistent basis to get his bat in there and his veteran leadership, to help with the pitchers, the way they're pitching the team now before all this young talent. It's a whole different ball game. And then with our pitching staff not having those, bailout aces like Max and, Strasburg that we could go to, and Corbin's been inconsistent, this year. He's, like I said, 6-10. It's just a ugly, bad combination right now. But like I said, I put that video out to remember why we're here, that World Series championship in 2019. Robbie, I know you didn't say you didn't get to watch much Nats. Did you see any of this debacle or look at any of the highlights or any opinion on this?
Nope, none of the highlights, none of the nothing. They're kind of dead to me. They traded my favorite players, and the season was kind of over. I feel bad about that. I know we cover them, but I know that you'll cover them, and it's hard for me to get up and care. I've cared so much, and we had the Olympics, and we have all the other sports ran long this season, and I see Hertz here. Have you watched any baseball?
He might still be muted.
Oh no! I have not watched any baseball. I saw there was a bunch of trades, and I decided to get on FanDuel and bet against the Nationals since they traded everybody, and they won, and they lost me money.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a whole other story in itself. Well, let me go ahead and wrap up this nasty week that was, so we can get into some more pleasant things. We got Big Hurt in the house, talk some Washington football training camp, get some insight and some behind the scenes stuff, stuff that he might have heard or might have seen. 3-game series against Atlanta. The Nats were able to get 1 out of 3. The first game was an 8-4 loss. Edgar Santana earned the victory for the Braves. I put him at 2-0. He went an inning. He went a third of an inning, giving up no hits, no earned runs with a strikeout. Eric Fetty took the loss. That drops him to 4-8. He went 4 2/3, giving up 8 hits, 5 runs, 4 of those earned with 3 strikeouts and 1 walk. Kai Boom went 1 for 4 with the RBI single, and Eric Fetty got his first career RBI with the sacrifice fly. The second game of the series is the lone victory of the week for the Nationals. It was a great victory. They definitely needed that to end that 5-game losing streak. They won the game 3-2. Andres Machado earned the victory, his first career victory in the majors. That put him at 1-0. He went an inning, giving him no runs, no hits, with 2 strikeouts and no walks. Will Smith took the loss. That dropped him to 3-6. He went an inning, giving up 3 hits, 3 runs, no strikeouts and a walk. Kyle Finnegan earned his 3rd save of the season. He won an inning, giving up no hits, no runs, with no strikeouts and no walks. Josiah Gray, who Arun just mentioned, who the Nationals received in part of the deal for Max Scherzer, who's the 40th ranked major league prospect. He had his 3rd career start, and he went 5 innings, giving up 4 hits, 1 run in his first 10 strikeout performance. 10 Ks in 1 game. That was impressive. He was looked very good on the mound, so that's a pleasant surprise, for one of the key pieces of the team that we traded away, that we did get something back in return. Luis Garcia had an RBI ground out, and Riley Adams, who was also part of a trade for Brad Hand, who was a top-rated catcher prospect in the majors. I didn't see which number he was ranked. I didn't write that down. My bad. But he went 1 for 3 with a game-winning home run in the top of the ninth, a 2-run home run. His first major league hit and home run. So that was the bright spot of the week. I did a little video because I had a feeling that was going to be a long bright spot because the last game of the series, they found a way to lose it 5-4. Max Fried earned the victory. That puts him at 9-7. He went 6 innings, giving him 7 hits, 1 run, 5 strikeouts, and 1 walk. Corbin took the loss. That drops him to 6-11. He went 6 innings, giving him 5 hits, 5 earned runs with 5 strikeouts and 1 walk. Chris Morton earned the save. That was his first of the season. He went an inning, giving him 2 hits, 1 earned run with 1 strikeout and no walks. Ryan Zimmerman had an RBI single and an RBI double. And Victor Robles went 1 for 5 with the RBI single. And that pretty much wraps up the week. Going into next week, starting tomorrow, starting tomorrow, they have a 3-game series with the Mets. And I forgot to write that down. I think it was 3-game series with Atlanta, I believe. I forgot to write it down. But this 3-game series versus Atlanta, like I said, they was able to salvage 1 victory. The lone bright spot, 2 of the prospects that we got for the trade, that made me feel a little bit better. But did you get a chance to check out any of the series, and how did you feel about this 3-game set? And did you get a chance to see that 3-2 victory?
Yeah, Betty in the first game, he struggled again. Now he has a fourth straight loss. But he got his first career RBI of the season. So good for Betty, doing something right. And Freddie Freeman was on fire. There was a huge call, the catcher's interference, which led to a 3-run rally, which was the turning point of the game. Gray pitched well again, second straight game with only 1 earned run, and as you mentioned, 10 strikeouts. And Riley Adams homer off of Will Smith was the difference. And then Corbin, he also had his 4th straight loss, lost his 4th straight decision, and we're talking about maybe he could pitch better so they could trade him, but I don't think that's going to happen next season. So we'll see how that goes. And the Braves are a good team. The Nets could have actually maybe won 2 out of 3 with a little bit better pitching, but it is what it is.
Definitely agree. Robbie, any thoughts on this before we get into the upcoming schedule and get into some Washington football talk?
Nope. I think we should wrap it up and talk about the week ahead and then get to Hurt segment. I know we got a lot of segments that we got to still do tonight. So, but Nationals are pretty low on my priority list, but hopefully maybe a little higher next week. What does our upcoming schedule look like?
All right, we got 3 at the Mets starting tomorrow night, which is a 7:10 start. Wednesday is a 7:10 start, and Thursday is a 12:10 start, which is, I don't know why it's an early afternoon game, but hey, maybe it can change the Nats' luck. And then they have 3, I believe, with the Braves coming here. Friday is a 7:05 start, Saturday is a 6:05 start, and Sunday is a 1:05 start. So hopefully the Nats can earn more than 1 victory next week and give us something more pleasant to talk about during Nats talk. But without further ado, got Big Hurt sitting there chilling, waiting to drop some Washington football knowledge of what's going on. So Big Hurt, how's it going, man? It's been a while since we had you on, man.
I just realized in talking to you and just listening to you talk about the Nats, the only game I bet on them is the game that they won, and they would have lost every other game. So I'm really annoyed.
Sorry, man. Sorry. Yeah, they went 1-6 in the one game. Was the one you bet on that? Yeah, that's kind of like with me and gambling. I don't gamble because the one time I wouldn't gamble, everything I played didn't hit until somebody else played it. So I was like, it's not for me.
I usually have a rule about betting against the home team, but or even betting the home team, period. But I figured once they traded everybody away, they're no longer the home team, right? Just the guys that play over there. Am I right?
Yeah, but the future looks, not as bad as some think. I'm hoping they can turn it around sooner rather than later. with Davey, you know, being a manager and seeing what he did in that championship season, I think that got the right man for the job to get him to turn this thing around quickly. Won't have to go through that long lull of losing again.
One team I will be betting on this year is the Washington football team.
No doubt, no doubt. Great segue, great segue. So, Washington football team recently had a practice at FedEx Field where they allowed 20,000 fans to, you know, check out the team, give them something to look at, and give the players, you know, the feel of having the players back in, the fans back in the stands, and you know, playing in front of a live audience and everything. So, what's some of the things that you heard after that practice, and some of the things you heard coming out of training camp from the folks that you talked to?
Talking about that practice, the first thing I heard is that there is no quarterback competition. This is Ryan Fitzpatrick's team. That's the one thing that people need to understand.
Mm-hmm.
Some people hope that Heineke can get things done, and some people think that Allen, you know, might be the guy. But the truth of the matter is, the only competition is for who's going to be number 2, and the winner of that competition is going to be the one that can stay healthy. We have 2 backup quarterbacks, and between the 2 of them, they have one good ankle. It's bad. It's someone called Heineke a chandelier the other day.
Oh wow!
And it's pretty bad. They said he was hobbling off. Both of his ankles hurt today. How do you hurt both your ankles at the same time? What's happening right now?
Mm.
But again, you know, a few notes that I saw was one of my favorite notes was Fitzpatrick will throw game-ending interceptions. I don't know how I feel about that. They said he's slinging it down the field. He has a bunch of wide receivers to play with. He says this is the best team he's ever played with. He's playing with confidence. He's playing with a chip on the shoulder. He's playing with a swagger. I think they can get us out to a good lead. And that's going to be key because the back half of this schedule is murderer's row. I expect us to be far in first place by the bye week. And after that, who really knows? The biggest takeaway that I got from the practice was just the change in atmosphere. FedEx Field is a fun place to be again. There's there's like an aura of hope in the team this year. It's like, hey, maybe this is something real. You know, people are getting behind Chase Young. People are getting behind Gibson. They're getting behind what's being built here. This offseason had more good news than bad news. There's a headache when it comes to Brandon Sheriff. But compared to the headaches we've had to deal with over the last few years, that's an aspirin.
Yeah,
and we'll be all right. I like Brandon Sheriff. But if he wants $100 million, I'm like, I can think of 5 guys on the team right now in the next 2 years that need that money before him.
Mm-hmm.
3 of them are on the defensive line, and one of them's a wide receiver. It's just, I'm sorry, you know. The culture change, the coaching, making practice mean something. Practices mean something. You're going to see that preseason means something. We know with the last coach, I'm not going to say his name, but with the last coach, preseason was nothing but a glorified walkthrough. He didn't take it serious. His players didn't take it serious, which is why it always took us 3 or 4 games to get into the season going. And then, you know, yeah. Whereas Ron Rivera, you know, it's like, yo, we want to come out the box strong. We haven't seen our offense clicking in the first 3 or 4 games in a very long time. And I'm excited to see that happen. Not that Ron Rivera's an offensive genius, but I want the offense functioning. And the last thing I want to talk about from this practice was I saw a few people talk about it in the group, and then I saw a couple of tweets about it, was Tanya Snyder walking around amongst the fans. Her presence being felt. She's making it clear that she's not a name that was there to be a placeholder for Dan to keep his spot while he goes and serves some imaginary suspension. She's here to be a presence on the team. She's here to be a presence in the building. And it gives you hope that this culture is changing.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree. With Fitzpatrick, I'm uh I'm optimistic because looking at his QBR rating and his quarterback rating in the last few years, he's definitely improved on some of his thought process going down the field and trying to force it and getting as many of those game-ending interceptions. And I think he's definitely going to help with Heineke and Allen. Give them insight and more knowledge from all of him being a journeyman. Folks look at that as a bad thing. I look at it as the more experience you get in NFL, whatever, how many other teams, means you, as a quarterback, you've seen almost every defense imaginable. So you can diagnose it quicker and you can help teach others, to try to make the team better because they've seen it all and done it all because they've been around the league for a while. So I'm definitely, on the Fitz wagon. I like Heineke. I've heard some, like you said, he injured both his ankles. They said he's been having some turnover issues, sometimes trying to force it. But this team is definitely in a good position right now, and I can't wait to see the product on the field to see how this team is going to come together. Like you mentioned, with the new pieces on offense, the additions on defense, our defense that was already playing pretty good. And then now you got Del Rio being able to get some of the pieces that he likes to use in the hybrid linebacker, safety, hybrid linebacker, D line. So I honestly can't wait to see what this team is going to have dialed up on defense. And I definitely agree with you. They're going to have to get off to a fast start. I was looking at the schedule the other day talking to somebody, and, my opinion, they should be able to win the first 3 out of 4. I got the only loss in the first 4 games against Buffalo and Buffalo, but they can get off to a good start and get things going in the right direction. And like you say, get a lead and let this defense do what it does. It's going to be a very interesting season.
Yeah, and again, you have a team that won't give up on the coach. Without getting too political about it, the only thing that really scares me is the issue with the COVID vaccine, and so many players not wanting to take it when you have a coach who's recovering from cancer. Again, not to politicize it, but I feel like we may lose a game or two to COVID.
Well, they're actually above the threshold now. They're at, I believe I read they're at like 88% vaccinated now. Coach said that folks have been getting educated. They upped their numbers from the 50% they were, and they're actually at like 88% vaccinated right now. So now they're able
that's great. Last I looked, they were just barely below 70. So that's great to know.
Yeah, they actually went about. I think it was this past weekend where I guess some more of the guys got vaccinated. So now they can, be in the same meeting rooms and, still had the precautions. But now that since they got above the 85% threshold, now they're, can actually have their meetings together and do the stuff that other teams are doing now. So Coach said that, more folks are getting educated, more folks are getting vaccinated. There's still some folks that still, saying it's a personal choice, but nobody's forcing anybody to do anything. They're just, getting educated and figuring out that's the best thing for the team moving forward. So I'm definitely glad to hear that also, because I was worried about them having to possibly forfeit a game when it was at like 50%. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah, and knowing our luck over the last few years, we'll end up forfeiting a game that was easily winnable. Not that any game in the NFL is easily winnable, but we're not going to forfeit against Tampa Bay. We're going to forfeit against freaking Cincinnati or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna ask you about if you heard Deron's Payne. He had a press conference. I think it was either today or yesterday. I think it was yesterday, and he said it's 2 teams that he's focused on matching up against this year: Tampa and Kansas City. He said Tampa because we gave up 500 yards, so we left a lot of plays on the field, and a lot of calls that the refs didn't call on the field. What did you take away from those comments from Deron, that he still remember that game from last year and he's looking forward to week 14?
It's a change in culture, because it's been a while since we've had a team that's like, yo, we remember that last loss, let's go in there and do something about it, and come out and start strong. Like in the past, it'd be just another day. I remember when San Francisco 49ers were swimming in the pond. And Larry Mike was like, this team's gonna remember. They really remember. You know what I'm saying? This last time we played them, I mean, we dog walked them a little bit, but that team just never had that type of urgency. They never really cared like that.
Mm-hmm.
So to hear a player say, "Yo, I remember last year, and we are looking forward to it." You don't antagonize the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? But it's great to hear, and it's great to hear somebody who has the ability to back it up. Like you hear from fourth string wide receiver, it's like, come on, bro. But a guy like Deron Payne saying it, that means in that game he's going to be giving his all.
Definitely. So we ain't had a chance to talk. I know we got our guys for Olympics already waiting in the wings.
Well, no. I have a thing I wanted to talk. This is actually Jesse, and I want to introduce you guys to him. He's actually really into football as well. He has his own Twitch channel, so I thought that he could chop it up a little bit with you guys even before we got into Olympics talk, because he was messaging me. He's like, well, I love football. I was like, oh, well, that's great. So I thought he could give a 49ers perspective, which I thought would be interesting as well before we got into the Olympics talk. But
what's up, y'all?
What's going on, man?
Hey.
What's up, Carol? What's up, Hurt? How you guys doing?
Doing pretty good, good. So how's things going out there in the Bay Area? I know y'all had a lot of off-season things going on out there also. Fill us in on what's going on with the 49ers.
Yeah. Actually, I'm in LA, but been a Niner fan my whole life since I was about 7 years old. So, still sticking on. But yeah, obviously the biggest scoop out here is the battle between Jimmy G and Trey Lance, right? Like everyone's like, okay, we got the hot shot rookie, for as much grief as Jimmy gets, he's still pretty damn solid, and he's still a winner. It's based on his record, he's a winner. His obviously his thing has been staying healthy, right? And that's if he had been healthy the 2 years that he was hurt, who knows, right? He took us to the Super Bowl. I mean, shit, not a lot of quarterbacks can say that. So I still got faith in him. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people might not. They might be like, "Oh no, we need something young. We need someone with a bigger arm." I mean, dude, Jimmy's not. He's not. He's not peanuts. You know what I mean? Like he can do it, and I think Trey Lance could learn a lot. You know what I mean? And like I said, Jimmy G actually, he was making $25 million a year. That's pretty cheap for a quarterback nowadays. So that's why I think we'll roll with him this year.
Yeah, definitely. It's always good to have a young quarterback take some time and learn the game, especially coming from college to the NFL. That's why I always say it's hard to get that one kid that you can throw out there off the break that's going to be ready for the NFL game, the NFL pace, and the NFL defenses coming out of college. So I think it's always wise to give them time to get acclimated before you just throw them into the fire.
Yeah, and he went into North Dakota State. You know what I mean? I know they're good for Division III or Division II or whatever they are.
Mm-hmm.
But man, that's North Dakota State, man. You're talking about the big boys over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I like him. I think he's gonna be great. But I think, like you said, he needs a good year at least to learn under a good pro like Jimmy G.
No doubt. Big Hurt. I was going to ask you about the Jonathan Allen extension, and you mentioned a couple of guys on the D line that's going to be in line for a payday. I'm thinking they're definitely going to, extend Deron Payne once his 5th-year extension. And, they're going to redo Chase Young and Montez Sweat. Do you think, I'm thinking Tim Settle might be the odd man out, and you still have Ionitis. I believe he already signed the contract extension, I believe, so don't have to worry about him. But how did you feel about that signing, and who do you think is going to be the next one to get locked up on the D-line to continue to try to keep this front together?
Well, it just doesn't make any sense for anyone for Deron Payne, like the way the NFL contract is structured, it doesn't make any sense for him to sign an extension until next year. I would love to do it now, but it just doesn't make any real sense. But you got to get Deron Payne back, and you have the luxury of either going Ionitis or Tim Settle. Ionitis being the obvious choice, but the truth of the matter is, it's a little injury prone. And some other stuff. Like, he just gets hurt a lot. Big Tim Settle's he's there, he's decent, he's a good change of pace, but he doesn't get the pressure that Ionitis or Tim or Jonathan Allen or Payne gets. The thing about Jonathan Allen is he's also a leader in the locker room. So signing him to a long-term deal sends a signal to the rest of the team. Like, this guy, locker room leader, comes in, does the right things, says the right things. He just got locked up. If I do the right things, say the right things also, I'm going to get what I'm worth. I do think that Jerron Payne might be in to get a little bit more than Jonathan Allen ends up getting, which could be a problem. I just think he's been a better player. And, people point to Ioannidis' stats, but, those stats are going to look different when he's playing every snap. He's getting hit every play. And especially with him being injury prone, he's a good change of pace back. So, get him signed is great. Your next priority is Jerron Payne. Of course, your next priority is Chase Young, but we have a few years to wait on that. Montez Sweat as well. Ioannidis and Tim Sell could both be the odd man out because you're still going to have to sign. You have young safeties. You don't have a cornerback that has to get locked up yet, but the hope is that one of these guys is going to have to get locked up. But the truth is, the better this defensive line is, the easier the job is for the cornerbacks. It's easier to plug and play just about any cornerback in, because the front lines get it done.
Exactly.
And the Redskins of old, the Washington football team of old, focused too much on the back end and not the front end.
Yeah, it's definitely a new day, and I love the fact that the back end now is so talented, and with depth right now, there's going to be some tough cuts due to the talent that they have back there with Cam Curl. They say Collins is having a good camp. They say you signed Bobby McCain. They say the third round pick St. Juice is playing very well on the outside, where they actually might put Kendall Fuller at his strong suit, which is the slot corner.
Yeah, if Kendall Fuller gets to go back to nickel, that defense might be a problem because he was never a great outside corner. Not here, not the few times they lined him up in Kansas City. He's a great nickel. You just can't overpay them. But if you have the luxury of putting him at nickel and running nickel, it's yeah.
I can't wait to see. All right, let's get ready to. I gotta ask you what you're gonna be looking for Thursday night. Coach said that the ones are going to get in there, get some go. He wanted to see Fitzpatrick have some command of the offense, and the offense, dictate the pace. And he wanted to see what the defense is going to look like going up against somebody else. So what do you be looking for on Thursday night?
I'm looking for effort. I'm looking for continuity. I'm looking for, timing. I don't expect Fitz to hit McLaurin for a 60-yard pass in the first play of the game, but I expect them to run some plays. Some very generic plays. I expect them to look cleaner than it has in previous years. On the defense, I'm really hoping to see them really come out and make a statement. Like, yo, this is what everyone's going to have to deal with all year. I want them to get on as a unit. I want them to push. I want them to make quarterbacks look uncomfortable. I want them to pancake somebody. I want to see them hit somebody. I want to see that this team is showing us, their fans, their ticket holders, their ratings viewers, they're showing us like, yo, last year was not an anomaly. We're looking to improve and build on that.
Definitely, I agree. I'll be looking for the same things. Before I let you get out of here, what you got going on, Big Hurt?
Well, I really wanted to come back and do a sports podcast this year, but really I've been focusing on my lymphedema channel. For those of you who don't know, I have a channel called Life versus Lymphedema. It's on YouTube. Use the voice function. Lymphedema is a hard word. Life versus Lymphedema. It's searchable now. And I'm basically just bringing lymphedema, which is the disease of, it's the buildup of fluid in any limb. If you've ever seen somebody with a giant forearm or somebody with a gigantic leg, it's the buildup of fluid over time that gets infected. Some people were born with it. Situations like mine came from an actual basketball accident. I'm just bringing awareness to it. I went looking for answers. It took me 6, 7 years to get properly diagnosed. And I'm finding there are hundreds and thousands of people in the nation who deal with it who don't know what it is because they haven't been properly diagnosed. And I made like 1 or 2 videos, and the people reaching out to me telling me they didn't know what they had or what they were dealing with was overwhelming. So all of my energy is going into that this year.
Sounds good, man. People need information, and glad to have you out there putting the information out there, and educating the folks and seeing what they can do to try to rectify the situation once they get properly diagnosed. That's the whole key right there.
Yeah.
Hurt. Send me a link to the channel when you get off of here, and I'll post it in my Twitch chat. And I've been watching it on YouTube, and but for some reason when I search my own channels, it's not popping up. But
Okay.
send me a link to it, and I'll let people know. But you are doing a good job with it. I saw some of your first videos got a bunch of views, so I know that people are interested in the subject. So I hope that you continue to bring light to it.
Funny quick story. I'd only had the channel up for about 3 or 4 days, and I'm going to a lymphedema clinic now to get treated. So I've been negotiating with them to film inside the clinic. So the director calls me with her boss and a couple of associates, all on like a conference call, and we're talking. And she's like, tell us about the channel, tell us about the link, and I'm sending it to them. And she goes, wow, your channel has 54 followers. My channel has 2 followers. I'm like, I have 54 followers? Because the last time I checked, I had like 14. And I had no idea that I had 50 followers until she told me. She's like, 54 followers in 3 days is great. I'm like, it sure is. I had no idea.
That's
so
good.
The channel's getting some traction.
Yeah, so send me that link. I don't know why it's not popping up for me. Also, add it. You should pin it on your Facebook page, so that way people could find it on the link section.
Yeah, you know what? I'll do that. But part of the reason I started this channel was because I got tired of talking about the issue on
right,
Facebook.
But I agree. But so just have the link right
Yeah.
at the top. And then if they
that
don't,
needs to happen. You're absolutely right. That I need to probably change my bio since I'm not doing a football podcast this year.
Right. But anyway, no, just my 2 cents. But just to make it easier for people to find it. So.
No, you're absolutely right. I'll do that. I'm actually do that right now. Break advice.
There you go. That's what I'm here for. I'm giving advice, and I appreciate you joining us. For people who don't know, it's Hurt's been with us for a really, really long time. Was our first producer, and I really appreciate him for joining us as always.
Man, I love what you guys have taken. I love what you guys have taken, like taking this brand and turned it into. I love that I go to all types of corners of the internet, and people know who the Sports on the Hill podcast is. I love it.
Hey, man, appreciate it, bro. Like you said, without you, we would have never got to start, man. So, as always, we appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time out. We definitely going to try to have you back on next week to recap what we saw, see what your schedule looking like, see if we can get you back on. If not next week, the following week, because we got 3 preseason games. So, definitely going to chop it up some more. Appreciate you taking the time, man.
All right, man. Y'all take it easy.
All right, you too. All right, Robbie, I see you got your Olympic panel in the waiting, so I'm going to go ahead and get ready to turn my cam off and let y'all break down these Olympics and sit back and see what you guys got to talk about.
Yeah, so I'm going to introduce both of these guys first, and then I'll bring in our normal team. And Carol, I think your mic is still on. But anyway, so first the Leon Lounge. And how are you doing? It's nice to see you.
Yeah, man, doing good, man. Glad to be here. I love talking sports, man. So I do, I generally talk about music.
I know you do. So I thought it'd be kind of fun, and I know that we'll do a separate interview show where I interview you and we talk a lot more deep. But I have been watching your show. I'm excited. I'm excited that this space is growing on the Twitch platform. Talk shows. I tried doing this a couple of years ago, and there is just talking, just chatting. There's also the podcast space on it. I know that some people sort of blur the lines of that. I've always considered this a podcast. I mean, podcast is in its name, right? So, just chatting only existed for a long time, and the podcast space, bless you, is coming back, and there isn't enough sports podcasts, and there's not a lot of traction for it. So I appreciate that both of you gentlemen really love sports and want to talk about it. So we'll do a whole separate show on that. Today we're going to talk a little bit of Olympics. I'm going to have you guys. I'm also going to bring in half of my normal team as well. But before I do, I want to bring in Davey from Davey Eating a Sandwich. Davey, I'm excited to have you on the podcast. How are you doing?
I'm excited to be here. This is so much fun. I love sports too. I was sitting in on some of this to start, and you guys know your sports. I mean, Jesse, my goodness, you really know your football. That was a good spot too. Dick Hurd, really cool to hear from him. Carol, you guys have the good pointed thoughts, so you really covered a lot of bases. So fun.
Yeah. For some reason I'm getting you on my right channel, but not my left. I don't know if it's a setting. Anyway.
You're coming in fine, Jesse?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me on both channels or just like?
Yeah, I can hear you on both channels.
Oh, interesting. That's weird. Because I can hear you on both channels, Jesse. Anyway, that's odd. But anyway, super strange. But anyway, it's fine. Anyway, so first of all, you guys are both fans. You come from the West Coast. I'll let you guys explain just a little bit about yourself and your channel real quick, and then we'll get into some Olympic talk. Jesse, I'll start with you. You said that you're a 49ers fan, but you live in the LA area. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually originally from Washington State.
Okay.
So born and raised, a little town of like 7,000 maybe. Toppenish, Washington, tiny little town. Everyone knows everybody. High school was like 600 people. Super tiny. But yeah, I was a Niner fan since I was little. Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, they were my guys. And I grew up watching them, and I never stopped. Especially once the Seahawks started getting all them bandwagon fans, man, I was like, can't do it, man. But anyway, moved over here for college. I've been actually in Long Beach, so went to college, never went back, so I'm over here. But yeah, man, Niners, Mariner fan first, Dodger fan second, and then University of Washington college sports, and and Miami Heat basketball.
There you go.
All over the place.
Yeah, all over the place. I'm a bit of the same way. I always have a favorite team, and then I always have a second favorite team in every sport because I like to make it interesting. A lot of people give me a lot of shit for that, but it is what it is. So I actually, at one point, I really did root for the 49ers. I am a Lakers fan as my second team. So in that sport now. The Ravens, kind of when I got older, right? The Ravens came to town and they became, my second team in football. But I've never rooted like really against the 49ers. They're probably the team I like the most in that division. Now, Davey, where are you from, and what are your teams? We'll start there.
Oh, thanks for having me on. And I'm from Oxnard, California, which isn't too far from where I live now in the LA area. And I grew up loving the Lakers. I mean, I've loved the Lakers since I was 5 years old. My dad got me into it, and used to watch the games. Back in the day, they had Magic, Worthy, Lee, Byron Scott, Michael Cooper. Such a good team, and they won 5 titles in the '80s. Kind of segue from that to to an extent the dark ages, and then you got the Shaq and Kobe, and then you got Kobe's run, of course, in the 2000s, and now we have LeBron. It's just like it's a fun time. So I'm a Laker fan. I like the other teams are Dodgers. Clearly, they're doing great right now for baseball.
They pillaged our best players, so it's a little.
I know.
a little
Like, oh my goodness, we just fleeced the Nationals like
for all the players.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and then the other teams. Well, we didn't have a team when I was growing up, so I'm a Steeler fan. I just decided to pick them because they were a good defensive team. Kind of the personality kind of matched what I was. So. And then hockey is the LA Kings. Always be. So those are my teams.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm going to bring in my team as well. I'll bring in Tim, who is a Ravens fan. I thought that'd be a fun segue, right? Because I actually knew that you were a Steelers fan.
Right after the Steelers fan.
Right. There you go. So
good rivalry.
Right. Exactly. So Tim is our resident Ravens fan, and likes all things Baltimore from this area, and he's also part of our Wizards Roundtable, and Tim and I went to high school together, so we've been friends for a very long time. So And then I'm going to bring my other friend, Arun, who I've also known since high school. And he's our stats guy. We saw him a little bit earlier in the programming as well. So we'll bring him in as well. And Arun, I think we can have 5 up. So perfect. You're good. I'm going to share my screen as I do for this segment. We're going to break down some of different Olympic talks. I'll give your thoughts on these games. The big thing that we talk about on this show is basketball, right? So we're going to go break down the Olympic basketball games. And then at the end, I'll let you guys talk about any other segments in the Olympics that you guys enjoyed or watched. Or I know that there's so many different games. No one could watch them all, but every one of you may have watched a different one, so we could hear a little bit about some of your favorite moments, maybe the Olympics. And I'll start off with the big news. Let me quickly share a screen. Hold on, I have to. It's the problem when you're running 3 computers at once. Make codes. People who don't know actually are streaming simultaneously on 3 different platforms, which is kind of crazy. But all right, so we're gonna share the screen, and where are we? Safari. Here we go. So this is fix this one here. All right, perfect. So the United States was behind in the Olympics last time we left them, and behind in golds, but not total. So last week we had a debate on whether what's more important, gold or total medal count. I'm gonna quickly ask your guys' thoughts on this, are my new Twitch friends that are on the show, because I got my friends' thoughts last week on that. So I'll start with you, Davey. What do you think is more important, having more total medals or more gold medals?
Oh, that's a great question. I think, knowing the culture of America, right, I think the gold medals are the thing. And look at that, right on the final day, just edged out China. That's pretty awesome. I mean, look, I would have had a lot of respect for China if they had held on to that gold, but it just goes to show you how superpower they are in athletics. I mean, China's dominated a lot of sports. I mean, diving in particular, you had a perfect score for 14-year-old, which is just impressive to watch. Same thing with the USA in swimming. I mean, it's just Germany continues to compete with Becky and Caleb Dressel in the swimming side of the pool. So all in all, I mean, it's cool that it's this close. It's very interesting to see. But yeah, gold I think is the winner for me.
Right, Leon. What? Jesse, what are your thoughts?
Oh, absolutely gold. You gotta, it's the number 1 spot. You know what I mean? If we had 50 golds to 20 and someone beat us in total medals, I'd be like, so what? We got more golds than you guys. You know what I mean? Like, that's just my thought process too, just like Davey said, man. But yeah, it is cool though. It was close though. I do respect China for sure. They were right on us. Like I said, leading quite a most of the Olympics, but yeah, man, gold's all the way. Absolutely.
I found this article really interesting. I'm going to quickly go through it with us because I thought it was a good, quick summary of that last day. So, there was 600 plus athletes, right, in 19 days. And they got it in, right? They didn't have fans. It was a pretty crazy Olympics. I felt really bad. We'll talk about that gold medal basketball game and how disappointing it was that fans couldn't be there for such a great game. Basically, they entered the last day trailing 2 golds, right? There's 38-36. The women's basketball team beat Japan, and then the cyclists won, so it tied it, and then women's volleyball won, and yeah, they took it. So, they were behind at the last day, and so that's a great comeback story right there. So 113, but it was way less than we got the last time in total medals. We had 121 last time. But it's difficult. It's all individual athletes, and so sometimes it's difficult to be one Olympic to another. It's not really a team sport in the same way that we think of it.
Believe it or not, though, the rest of the rest of the world is, they're bound to catch up a little bit. We've been dominant for so long. Like just smoking everybody in the past that they're bound to catch up with it. And what's actually surprising is that it's the U.S.'s first volleyball gold. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, that was pretty surprising to me as well. All right, let's
get.
The
men's side or the women's side, or just regular volleyball?
It was in women. Yeah, I think it's women's regular volleyball, right?
Regular volleyball.
Women's
regular
women's indoor. The
Yeah,
indoor team.
Indoor,
They
okay.
won beach a lot of times.
Yeah. So, all right. So, and then Japan was in third in ranked by in gold, but not by total, right? Yeah. So, by the way that we were calculating, so yeah, it's been exciting. Let's go back and talk briefly about some of the earlier basketball games, and then we'll obviously dig a little deeper into the gold medal game. But I just, where we left off. Literally, they were going to play Spain later that night when last Monday's podcast left off. So Spain started off hot, 21-19 in the first. The second, USA outscored Spain 24-22, beat them by 6 in the third, and then by 8 in the fourth. So they kind of opened up that lead over time. So I'm going to get Arun's thoughts in here real quickly. Arun, what was some of your take on this match?
A pretty back and forth game. Spain was actually leading by 15 to start the first half, but the U.S. closed that deficit and they tied the game at the end of the first half. And the U.S. kind of just took control from there on out. Even though Ricky Rubio was on fire, I think he had the most points against the U.S. Out of any opponent ever. So that was pretty crazy. And overall, it was just a good game by Kevin Durant. Zach LaVine played well, and I think the U.S. just took control. They were deeper than Spain, and Spain was actually the number 2 ranked team, and they played the U.S. in the quarters because the U.S. had lost one of their games, and Spain had also lost. But it was a really good game, and good for the U.S. to get a win.
Tim, what were some of your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, it's kind of sucks for Ricky Rubio. I believe he's been knocked out by the U.S. in 4 straight Olympics. So he started out as a teenage phenom, and he's obviously a really good point guard in the NBA now, but he's definitely kind of past his prime. Great game, here though. And I think Spain, totally their roster is past their prime. They're still one of the better teams in the world, but they were never really a threat to win this. That 15-point deficit was scary, though, but the U.S. made a habit of going behind in the first half and then coming back with authority and then just kind of rolling people in the second half, and this was more of the same. But, Spain has always played the U.S. tough. You do have to respect them. They're a decent opponent, but the talent gap was huge. I mean, Spain had a lot of guys that used to play in the NBA, but they moved on to Europe, and I think they probably peaked, 1 or 2 cycles ago in the Olympics.
Yeah, Davey, what are some of your thoughts on this game?
I mean, you definitely had a lot of talent on the Spain side. I mean, you can see that it really did have a night. Look at that, 27 points. That's 38 points in a 14-minute game is insane. So if they lost, it wasn't for a lack of his production. I mean, it's an impressive win for sure, I thought. And I do agree with the point as far as starting slow, because that carried over all the way in the gold medal game. I mean, they would be falling behind, the other team each time, and then they would do their rally. And but as far as this game was concerned, I mean, it really was a big day for Kevin Durant, who, just a lot like what he was doing with Brooklyn. He just took the bull by the horns in this Olympic tournament. 29 points is a really good effort. So those are my thoughts.
Yeah, and Jesse, what were some of your thoughts?
First off, man, I want to give a shout out to the Gasol brothers, man. I think they said this is gonna be their last Olympics, man. What a run for them. Been doing it for a long time. Marc Gasol is still gonna play this year, I know for sure, with the Lakers. But yeah,
the only brothers to ever be traded for each other, right? And then Marc Gasol ends up back with the Lakers anyway. What a great story they have. Yeah.
That's very crazy. But yeah, man, definitely shout out to them. But yeah, man, Rubio, it might even be his last Olympics. He's getting up there in age. He joined the NBA when he was he wasn't like right out of high school or college or anything like that. He was like 25 or 26. So he's got some years on him. But yeah, man, I'm a little disappointed in the U.S. this year. From being down. If LeBron was on the team, that wouldn't happen.
Yeah. It's a good point. It's but there's something about it being closer and like not having it a foregone conclusion that I kind of enjoyed a little bit. Now that's not going to carry over into the next game where I feel like it was much more of a foregone conclusion. Much earlier. Again, we started off slowly, but I just that third quarter we'll talk about in a second. They outscored 32-10, and again, these are shorter quarters than they are in the NBA, so it's a pretty sizable difference, and it is really the difference in this game. Australia started off pretty well. Outscored them by 6 in the first. The U.S. outscored it by 3 in the second, but again, it's that 22-point difference in the third that made the difference. Because in the fourth quarter, they both scored 23, and the USA were able to win 97-78. I'm gonna start with Arun. Arun, what some of your takes on this game?
Yeah, in this game, the U.S. was actually down by double digits again, but they also closed the gap at the end of the second quarter. And Durant was great again. Lillard only had 5 points. He looked like he was kind of out of it. And it turned out after the Olympics, he had an abdominal injury. And then the key was, I think, Drew Holiday playing really good defense on Patty Mills, who the U.S. had earlier lost to this team in the preliminaries, along with France. So good for the U.S. to get revenge in the second half. Levine had a really nice dunk to close out the game. They even got some garbage time for JaVale McGee, who had 2 buckets in 2 minutes. So that's pretty good scoring rate. So good win by the U.S. The defensive lineup with Booker, Holiday, Durant really turned the game around.
Yeah, Tim, what are some of your thoughts on this game?
The U.S. is really, really tough when they start hitting their threes. They really didn't shoot the three-pointer that well overall in the tournament, but in this game they shot the three well, and they just could roll teams when they hit those because it's a shorter three-point line. They have a lot of jump shooters. They kind of relied on that shot because they were weaker inside in this tournament. So when they got hot, I mean, nobody was going to beat them. And this game, I think, it showed that they learned a lot from that exhibition loss. People really freaked out that they lost those 2 games, and even the game that they won against Spain and Argentina, it wasn't a blowout. I think those were really beneficial though, because they kind of got to see Australia's lineup, see how they played, realized how good they were, and they knew what they were going up against in the semis here, and they took them really seriously. And yes, they did get behind, but they have a great coach. They're not going to get scared. They have scorers all over the lineup, and they did a great job to come back. And I know Draymond didn't score a lot of points, didn't shoot a lot or play a ton of minutes, but his defense down low is key. And also, I wonder from Australia, if Ben Simmons played, maybe they would have gotten to the finals. This game could have been closer. I kind of wish that he played. I know he had a bad playoff run, but he's a great player and would have made their team a lot more formidable.
Yeah. Davey, what are some of your thoughts on this game?
But I don't have a lot to say about this game, but I did love the point about Simmons, because this could have been a real moment of redemption for him. So we really did miss out on him not being on that. I mean, this was a pretty decisive game. If you don't mind me getting into the other semifinal game, France and Slovenia, that looked like a really good game. And Nick Batum saving the game with a block from behind, basically a game-winning block, just kind of like Jonathan in the NBA Finals. That was an amazing block. I was like, dang. Clement Velic was on his way to the basket to take the lead for Slovenia. I do have to give Slovenia a lot of credit here. And this is a team that has, of course, Luka Doncic. It's just unbelievable. He's one of the most exciting players to watch. And I see a note here that Slovenia's loss with Doncic is the first loss in 18 tries. They got 17-0 in the previous game. That's incredible. What a run for Slovenia in this tournament. But as far as the United States game, I pretty much mirror what everyone else did.
But Slovenia ended up losing to Australia, right, in the bronze game, if I remember.
Yeah, it was a blowout.
They got trashed. Yeah. It was just kind of surprising, honestly.
Yeah, I was surprised by it because I thought they were gonna get bronze and it was gonna be a big moment for Luka. So I was.
It looked like he got injured in the semifinal game because he only shot 5 of 23. It looked like he got injured.
Interesting. All right, Jesse, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, man. For one, being a Heat fan, I'm really disappointed in Bam Adebayo. But but no, other than that, yeah, man, it was dominance. You know, like I said, they started slow pretty much all Olympics. But yeah, man, like that 22-point differential is just, they're physically better than everybody, and once they got it going, there's literally no stopping them.
Yeah, I think the difference is the defense, right? I mean, and that's true in the NBA too. When a team commits to defense for a certain amount of time, it can really make a difference in the game. And here, holding them to 10 points, I mean, yeah, they scored 32, but it's really the holding them to 10 points in that third for me that makes such a big difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, even though what I said about Bam Adebayo, he played some really good defense. Drew Holiday is a monster on defense. You've seen how big that guy is, man. Like, he doesn't seem like he's that big, but when you see him on the court, I think he's what 6'4" at least. But he's thick. You know what I mean? So he can beat up people. And then and Durant, man, that guy's like he's got long arms, long legs. Like, as long as he stays in front of you, it's kind of hard to get around him. But yeah, defense. I know Tatum. He's a good 3-and-D guy. So yeah, they definitely got the length size, to match up with literally anybody. But
especially with a Popovich-led team, right? He always preaches defense, and so if they commit to listening to him, and he's always gotten superstars to play great defense. I mean, that's one of the things that he'll be known for as being a Hall of Fame, coach. And so it was cool to watch this because it wasn't the foregone conclusion. I feel like it has been in so many previous years. And all right, let's get into the game that we've all really were here to see, and it was a really, really great game. USA started off strong, although it was a really tight first quarter, 22-18. Very tight second quarter, 22-21. So just barely outscoring them by 3 in the first half. USA was able to extend that lead a little bit, outscoring them by 3 in the third. But then France played really tight defense. Only held USA to 16 points. Only scored 19, but they only lost by 5 points. It's a very, very close game. Anyone who says that it was a foregone conclusion at any point in this game would be lying to you. I was nervous. It had everything that a gold medal game was supposed to have. I was a little disappointed that fans couldn't be in the stadium for this game. This is like one of those games where it's like the fans would have just gone nuts for, right? It just would have been a really great game. I would have loved to see the French fans there even. I just think it would have been this huge thing, and it was kind of a bummer for me. But France's size has really stood out to me. I mean, they are a huge team, big team, and really can dominate. And remember, they gave
three 7-footers, right?
I believe so, and the tallest person in these games, I believe, and so. And defensive player of the year 2-time, right? So I mean, they're a solid team of players, and they beat USA earlier in these. They're the only team to beat them in this Olympics, and so I thought that could have a mental edge going into that could be dangerous, especially because their recipe was to keep it close and go on a big run at the end, and it looked like they were kind of doing the same thing again. I think the U.S. had a little bit of a bigger cushion than the first time that they played them, but not much, right? So, but overall, I mean, Durant has just been superhuman in these gold medal games, and just really pushing his team. I think it was 30-30-29 in his last 3 gold medal games, which is just incredible to watch. So I'll go in reverse order this time. Start off with Jesse. What are your thoughts on this gold medal game?
Yeah, France, man, big ups to them. They made it very interesting. There was a point where the U.S. hadn't scored in like good 5-6 minutes or something like that. They were D'ing them up. Like I said, they got all that size. Gobert, he's hard to get around. But yeah, and the U.S. shot the 3-ball pretty horribly in the beginning. Finally, they got some shots to fall, and I didn't know about Lillard being hurt because I was wondering the same thing. I was like, dude, he's wide open on some of these threes and he's not making them. And Dame time, man, he can hit those like 30-footers. And I had no idea that he was hurt, but both teams, man, played great defense. And I'm a big defensive, like I love defensive games. I know some people might think it's boring, but like I love it. You know, like when a football game is 12-9. Oh my god, I hate that stuff up, man.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, I eat that stuff up, man. I love it.
Well,
But,
Carol,
Tatum-
our co-host loves defensive football too, so he's with you 100% on that.
Yeah. But yeah, Tatum, he showed up big time, man. He did some great things, and obviously, man, what can you not say about Durant? You know, that guy is a monster, man. When he raises up and hits that little mid range, it's like his arm is halfway to the basket. So like, yeah, he's deadly, man. Easy money sniper, man. He's awesome.
It's crazy to have so many 7-footers and still not be able to contain somebody like Durant. But I mean, he's so used to it, right? They in the NBA they throw every player at Durant, and very few people can consistently defend him. It's why people think he's one of the greatest players of this generation, which is probably true. And Davey, what were some of your thoughts on this gold medal match?
But what a game it was, wasn't it? I mean, you had some great talent all around. I mean, I agree with Jesse. I got to give a lot of credit to that France basketball team. This is a pretty solid team. You talk about defense. These guys are some great defenders. The Batum, that's one of them. You had Rudy Gobert. I know he had 16 points, and it's interesting these rebounding totals. He had 8 rebounds. Yeah, that's a very good game in a 40-minute game. That's pretty good. I mean, and so there was this great defense being played all around. One more guy I'm going to mention on the France side, Gershon Yabusele really did well for himself, and you hadn't heard from him in a while. But props to him. I mean, his shooting wasn't the greatest, but 13 points and 4 rebounds. I mean, that's a pretty solid day. So now to the U.S. side. First quarter, three-point shooting was off. It was clear. People were wide open too, like the entire first quarter. And you felt like that was not going to be sustainable because these guys were just too good. They were wide open for all these shots. Second quarter and on, they picked that up. And, of course, Kevin Durant led the way. But I do have to give a lot of credit to Lillard now that we understand that he's hurt. Then certainly that brings a lot of things to light. He did seem off. But he did make some big baskets late. And did you guys catch the basket where it came off the front of the rim and then it bounced in? That was the weirdest shot I've seen all year, like any level of basketball. That was just a crazy shot. Yeah, I mean, just all in all, I mean, it was a great effort by a lot of people. Tatum came huge, as you mentioned. But the two guys that I really want to point out, Jrue Holiday and Draymond Green. Now, look, Draymond doesn't necessarily do it in the box score, but I think their presence was huge on defense. I just think they were really big in this most crucial game. Yeah, with a closer game than people expected. But it's just a tremendous game. I mean, France is a tough team. And US outlasting them, even with that little rally, did you see that like in the last 30 seconds? That was crazy. So, that was a tough game. And I think the better team won, honestly. I mean, certainly, people are saying they should have won by more points. I think you're not giving France enough credit. It was just a great game.
This is the statistic right here that changes the game, right? I mean, the idea, it's like a hack-a-shack, right? Where you take your chance and you don't let him dunk on you and see what he does in the free throw line. And 6 for 13, but Gobert is not.
That was very smart by Popovich to do that.
Right. I mean, it's a 5-point game, and he misses more than 5 free throws, right? So I mean, it's literally the game right there, and I think that they couldn't figure that out, right? They couldn't, somehow either have him make them or make it so they can't foul him. One other interesting thing, because we're talking about just a few points difference in this game, and it could have been a loss. And one of the things is after a free throw attempt, you can knock it off of the rim. Like in the NBA, you can't do that. And it's interesting to see players, if it touches the rim, to swat it away. And there was an actual successful one, I believe, in this game. And so
Draymond in the fourth quarter, it was like crunch time, like 3 minutes left.
Exactly. That's what I remember too. And I mean, at that point, 1 point could make a huge difference because it's a 2-point game or a 3-point game, or so in this crunch time, it made all the difference. So I just thought that his playing defense, speaking to Draymond, and speaking to just smart decision making in a very, very close game, made the difference in this one. Tim, what are some of your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think to echo the comments about Popovich, he did a great job. I mean, we have to remember the U.S. lost their first game. The world was ending. They had to deal with 4 days of just nonstop negative media. Kendrick Perkins running his mouth, Stephen A. Smith running his mouth, Skip Bayless, all those people. and they were stuck in Japan. They were in quarantine more or less, and I think they came together and they practiced really hard. And Popovich put in a great game plan, and he figured out his rotations, and obviously they improved a ton. So he deserves a lot of credit. Yes, he lost a game, and that doesn't really happen to Team USA, but all that matters is he won the last game. So give it up for Pop. But yeah, I mean, this France team deserves a ton of credit. This is one of the best teams I would say Team USA ever played against, at least in the modern era. They've got guys like Nando De Cola. He plays in Turkey. I'd never heard of him really. Colo, sorry. Before this tournament, he played great. You know, he was like guarding best players in the world, scoring double figures every game. You know, France is a big team. You have to remember, Team USA, obviously, we have all the physical talent. We should win every tournament, but Olympic basketball is weird. 10-minute quarters, there's no 3 seconds, which people don't really talk about. But on offense and defense, to not have 3-second violations is huge because all the NBA players are trained to avoid that, and it really helps big teams like France because they can just park in the lane on offense and defense, and the U.S. can't. So you've got that. Usually you've got all the fans against Team USA, not this time. But it really is kind of stacked against them, and it's not easy to win. I'm glad that Durant was able to kind of quiet the haters a little bit. But, yeah, I mean, I was a little bit scared at the end of that game. Team USA should have won probably by 8 or 10 points. Arun chatted that Lillard screwed up. He kind of did. Those 2 missed free throws were bad. And they let France hit a couple shots at the end, but they like to make it interesting. So we said it's kind of better that way. But it'll be interesting to see who makes the team in 4 years. I think a lot of these guys will, but they'll have a lot of options, so it could be a lot different. Actually, 3 years. In 3 years.
Yeah, for sure.
It's gonna be interesting. That's gonna be very interesting to see who shows up, man. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. Arun, what are some of your takeaways from this game?
Yeah, a really close game down the stretch. France actually jumped out to a lead with the U.S. Took care of business in the first quarter. In the first half, they had a lead, and yeah, Durant pretty much carried them through 3 quarters, but he was held scoreless in the fourth quarter. Batum, as Davey mentioned, had been playing great defense in the previous game, and he locked up Durant. So perhaps if France had put Batum on Durant earlier, maybe it would have been a different game. But the U.S. won at the end of the day. True Holiday, as everyone mentioned, he played really good defense. And I guess the Team USA was also missing Beal. I think he would have played more, especially if Lillard was struggling with whatever he was going through, especially since Beal played better defense than Lillard. And a couple nicks in this game. Shout out to Brian. Evan Fournier was shut down a little bit in this one. He only had 16 points. He had a couple buckets, including a key 3 after, I believe, those missed Lillard free throws. But overall, it wasn't enough really for France to get back into the game. They had some weird lineups playing both their 7-footers, while the U.S. wasn't really playing any 7-footers. They'd gone to a small lineup. Durant at center down the stretch. So overall, good for Pop to get the win. Shout out for Jay Wright, who actually drew up the final defensive play as an assistant. So it was the closest final in the last, I believe, since I'm watching probably since that Soviet Union final in the 70s, I believe. So shout out to Team USA for pulling it out, and it'll be interesting to see if they can actually win the gold medal without Kevin Durant. So they probably need him to show up in 2024 in Paris.
It'll be what, like 37, 38 by the next Olympics?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably like 36.
2 no less, right? So that'd be crazy.
Yeah.
It's only 3 years, so that would be good for him.
I'm taking away the share screen so people can see us and we can just chat a little bit of general Olympics. You know, and I'll just go around the table and see what sports maybe interest you guys or how your general feelings overall on the Olympics, and then I'll let you guys all give some final shout outs for your shows, and we'll send you on your ways. But let's start off with Jesse. Jesse, did you watch any of the other Olympic sports? What things caught your eye?
Yeah, I watched a little bit, not too much. It's a really busy season right now, or because I'm a talent agent. Some of you guys know I book venues. I book artists at music venues. So
cool.
I've been on the computer trying to get any artists like booked and stuff. So I didn't get to watch as much as I wanted to. However, the diving the synchronized diving is insane. I can't believe that they can synchronize that well. It just blew my mind. It just blew my mind. Also, I want to say one thing, and then I'll pass it off. F all the haters that are hating on Simone Biles. I will say that for sure, because she's getting way too much hate. You know what I mean? She deserves so much better. She is one of the best Olympians of all time. She deserves, you guys deserve nothing. Not you guys, but the world deserves nothing from her. She gives it her all the time. The fact that people were talking smack about her pulling out of the finals here and there, like, dude, I'm glad that she's focused on herself.
Yeah, and she came back and medaled, right? I mean, just what a redemption story,
Yeah, absolutely. So she doesn't need to prove to herself to anybody. She's already done it. I want her to go home and just be herself and let her do whatever she wants to do. Big shout out to Simone Biles.
Well, I'll echo that, because I think that it's a really good statement. We have talked about her a couple, weeks ago, when all that came up on the show, and we're all in solidarity with that thought process. But I think she made the right call, because it's a team thing, and if she thinks somebody else can execute a better number, they ended up getting silver. Maybe it wasn't gold, but like they ended up medaling. Where if she screws it up, she could get hurt. We could not medal. I mean, there's a whole host of things that could go wrong, and it's not worth it, right? So it's for me, she made the right call, and I think it's important to shed light on mental health. And so it's interesting. I think it's interesting debate where people are like, is she a hero for it, right? I think that's that's a different conversation. I don't know if she's a hero for it, but I don't think. But I think she did the right thing, right? So I think that I think both can be true. But it's interesting nonetheless, and I'm proud of her. And I've worked for a school, where kids have learning issues, ADD, these kinds of things, and medication's important. I was on ADD medication for a huge percentage of my life. I could not have functioned without it. I definitely wouldn't have tried to jump off of something when I'm not paying attention. You know what I mean? Like, so like there's just no way that's even like remotely possible. So I know about an Olympian, but I can at least speak to the ADD side of it. If she was supposed to be on medication, they don't allow for that medication. There is time for that to leave your system. It could throw you off totally. And it's not worth the risk to her body, and to all that. So I appreciate what you're saying on that. I'll let Davey go next. Davey, what are some of the things that stood out to you in this Olympics?
How about the swimming this year? I mean, just some amazing performances. How about that women's relay with Australia and China? They're all going neck and neck. It was just an unbelievable race. U.S. didn't win that, but it was an incredible race. You gave them another 10 meters, they would have won. They were coming. They really were. It was incredible. And, anything involving Katie Ledecky is always going to be a big watch. And Ledecky, yes, she had a huge upset by Ariane Tedmus in the 200 free, and then again in the 4. But then the first ever 1,500 meters on the women's side, which, by the way, way the hell overdue. I can't believe they went that long without doing a 1,500 on the women's side, which is ridiculous. But they did the first one. She crushed it. I mean, that was incredible. Just to see that. This is, I think, either her second or third Olympics already for Katie Ledecky. She's accomplished so much already, and it's incredible. So that was great. The 8, same thing. She just destroyed that. But on the men's side, those distance events were crazy. Bobby Fink comes back in the final length of the pool 2 times, in the 8 and the 1,500. Just an insane comeback for him. And then, what else can you say about Caleb Dressel in the shorter distances? His first gold Olympics his first gold medal of the Olympics, and then he was just balling. Like, I don't mean balling like basketball, he was crying like crazy. He barely talked, and you could feel for him there. It was just an incredible moment. So yeah,
and then he won 4 more, right? So
yes,
college
and individual events too. Yeah, it's just an incredible incredible run for him. I was very hopeful too because he was just crushing it at college level too as well. So I had a good feeling about Caleb, and so props to him.
We joke on the show because it's about a DMV podcast, right? So Maryland really represents in swimming in a way that like no other state does, which is so weird. Like I don't know why our state is known for like crab cakes and swimming, but we do. You know, we breed gold medalists. So you know, it's some of the best of all time. So
started with Michael Phelps.
Yeah.
You also had oh gosh, I forgot her name already, but Ms. Schmidt.
Right. Well, but also Katie, and then I think Katie had somebody else who went to the same school as her that got I think bronze in the backstroke, right? I'm trying to remember her name as well. So like, shout out to just the future of swimming. So there's so many events. It's hard for me to remember all the names, but it was really cool in swimming, and it was fun to see. I'll go to Tim next. Tim, is there any sport that you saw that or cared about?
Yeah, the two that I paid a lot of attention to, I didn't really expect to, but I just liked it. What was the baseball and the women's soccer? Baseball was special because the U.S. had a great run to the gold medal game, but lost. But you had to root for Japan. They've never won gold. They love baseball as a nation. They were at home and they played their A team. They had Tanaka and all the stars from Japanese baseball, a few guys from MLB in the past, and they were able to win at home in a great 2-0 game. I missed that because it was at like 6 a.m, but I did watch the semis, and the U.S. beat South Korea pretty handily. So it was great for the U.S. to get a medal. They kind of struggle in the Olympics in baseball, which is surprising. But they don't have their best players. It's a lot of AAA guys and washed up former MLB players. So that was really cool. And if you're gonna lose one team,
that was the last one, right? Isn't baseball going?
Yeah, it's out. Yeah, it's maybe not forever, but it's out next time. So Japan kind of had to win it, and they went all out. So good for them. And then women's soccer, I love because mainly compared to men's soccer, the Olympics kind of sucks. They don't play any of their top players because FIFA wants the World Cup to be the supreme tournament. So it's a lot of young guys and a few veterans. But the women's Olympic event in soccer, it's all the stars. It was basically the same team, mostly that won the World Cup a little while ago. And Team USA lost. They did get the bronze, which was great. And that game was exciting, 4-3. But even the final, I watched the end, and it was really close. Canada won against Sweden, the only two teams that beat the U.S. Great game, but I'm kind of sick of soccer tournaments ending in penalty kicks. I really want that to end. In general, I want golden goal again, but good tournament. And it's sad that Team USA's women are kind of going to break up the gang. It's going to be a lot of new players next time. So this is sort of the end. They were really devastated to lose that semifinal, but at least they got a medal, and it was a good tournament, and I think they'll still be good next time, just different faces.
Yeah. Arun, what were some of the things that you checked out?
Thanks to DVR, I checked out a lot of this Olympics. Otherwise, because the timing would have been all off. The at the 100-meter men stood out where Italy won. Marcel Jacobs, actually born in the U.S., but grew up in Italy. So that was pretty interesting. And also the 4x100 where the U.S. didn't even qualify. Carl Lewis kind of bashed the U.S. team for not even making it to the final heat. So I guess Simone Biles did better than because she got a bronze medal too in an individual event. So it was pretty cool for Italy to win that race, and they're being called the four Ferraris, and Great Britain was second, and Canada was third. And I don't think anybody had those top three going into the Olympics. And it was just pretty crazy week. There was somebody from Canada who won in track cycling, and she only started biking 4 years ago. She was on the soccer team. Somebody from India won the javelin. It's a 23-year-old. He won gold. San Marino, really small country, they have 2 gold medals, and their population is only 32,000, I believe, or something really small. So it's been a crazy Olympics. And at least while France didn't win gold in basketball, they did win gold in both handball events, and they also got gold in men's volleyball over the ROC. So at least they have that to cheer about. And overall, it's just a very fun Olympics. The U.S. men's closed it out with the 4x400, winning gold. So that was good that they actually won 1 gold medal despite a very disappointing 4x100 relay. The women's team, they had a really good 4x400 or 4x100 race, and they finished with silver and gold in those respective events. So overall, very very jam-packed Olympics. The timing probably not going to get people to watch them. The crowd noise not being there has also made it a little bit depressing. But hopefully things will get back more to normal in 2024 when they kick off in Paris.
Maybe I'll ask one more point, or maybe 2 more points, because I do want to give a shout out to the Philippines for getting their first ever gold medal. I mean, that was an incredible moment. Hopefully no one brought that up already, but Hitlin Diaz with the weightlifting win, that was awesome. It's always cool to see that, the history being made, no matter what the country is. And in the 100 meters on the women's side, the 100-meter dash, sweep by Jamaica. I mean, just continuing the legacy of Jamaica's success in track and field. You know, Thompson Harrop with the win and an Olympic record. And Fraser Price, she's been around quite a while. The medal in that event is still amazing because she's been around a long time. Jackson with the bronze, which is an incredible moment for Jamaica too.
I agree. We're having a lively Twitch chat in here. I really appreciate everyone for stopping by. That Eat Flat Guy and Carly and so many other great guests join us. Swimmy and so many have been in chat. I see Dave, you're in chat too. But it's we're talking about gymnastics and how Carly actually likes gymnastics. So I think that's really cool. I'm curious if she ever did it herself or what her favorite events were. And if anybody else in chat wants to say what their favorite event in the Olympics were, they can chime in as well, and we'll get them on air. But I appreciate everyone for stopping by. Even my dad stopped by earlier, and so that was kind of cool to see him in chat. He's usually watching on Facebook Live, so he rarely comes over to the Twitch side. So I appreciate him for doing that. Carlos says beam is her least favorite. It's so scary. Falling was painful. Love bars and floor. Probably bars was my favorite for her when she used to do gymnastics. So that's a fun little fact that I did not know about Carly Sings. So so that's very cool. All right, I'll let each one of you guys give one final thought on the Olympics as we go around the table, and then I will let you guys have one final takeaway and a send-off. We'll start off with you, Jesse. Any final thoughts on the Olympics?
We're number one. We're number one.
Nice. I like it.
Hey, that's it, man. But yeah, thank you for having me, man. Make sure you go, hit me up on Twitch. I interview mostly music singers, but I'm gonna get Robbie on there, and we're gonna do my first full-on sports stream. So that will be awesome because I haven't got to do it, and I love sports, all football, baseball, basketball. I can talk about it all to no end. You know what I mean? My wife hates it, so it's cool to talk to. It's cool to talk to somebody else about it.
My wife also hates it, which is why this is my outlet, right? So I get to talk to all you guys about it. So
absolutely.
But anyway,
you guys come check me out. Check me a follow, and now we can see what next time we do it. I think we're doing ours in 2 weeks or so.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll get that going. But yeah, I interview a lot of cool, amazing music streamers. Maybe I can get Carly Sings on there at some point. She's pretty awesome.
I'll be Carly's booking agent, right? So we'll see if Carly will do.
Hey, there we go.
There
Absolutely.
you go.
Yeah, but yeah, check me out, and then follow me on Instagram. You can see all the interviews I'm gonna do, and then also I always post about like the artists that I work with when they're gonna be out.
Shout out what's your handle on Instagram? Just so.
Oh yeah, it's at jesse.breakpoint.book. Let me put it in the chat.
Yes. Also,
But yeah,
the Leon Lounge, twitch.tv/the Leon Lounge.
Leon Lounge.
You know, over there on Twitch and over on his page, you can find all of his other links. And so we're brand new Instagram buddies as of today. And definitely check out his Twitch channel. He's a rising star interviewing music people. And I really appreciate you coming on. And we'll definitely do, I do another show. Usually where I interview music streamers about their levels of sports, but it would be fun for us to, chat about your history on, what you do in sports as well. So when I bring that show back, my wife is having a baby. So once we're past that process, then in a couple of months, we'll bring that show, secondary show, back on the channel. I'd love to have you on. I'd love to have Ryan, that E Flat Guy, on. I'd love to have Davey on as well, and anybody else who likes to talk about. I'm going to broaden it. Before it was people who had to like about singing and sports, but I'll make it if anybody likes sports or singing and streaming. We'll broaden it a little bit, and we'll definitely get you on. But thank you, Jesse, for joining us, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, cool. I just dropped my IG right there, so you guys can check
perfect. There you go. Perfect. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, you guys have a good one.
All right, so Davey, let people know I love your format. I will give people a quick little update of what Davey does, and then I'll let him take it away from there. But if you like sandwiches and you like interview shows, it's a combination of eating sandwich and doing interviews. So it's a fun thing. He's got lots of different guests. Ryan, that E Flat Guy, was just on his show. He's in chat right now. They did a phenomenal interview. It's I've been listening to it. I think it's my favorite one that you've done so far, Davey. And so I really enjoyed it. Had a great listen. I hope people go back and check out the VOD. For that one, I'm gonna shout you out in my Twitch chat, but it's Davey's Eating a Sandwich on Twitch. So twitch.tv/Davey's Eating a Sandwich. I'm saying it out loud for the audio listeners of the show and people that are on our Facebook as well. But Davey, give people a little synopsis about what you talk about on your show.
Oh, it's wonderful. First of all, thank you so much for the kind words, and all the credit to Ryan. Ryan was awesome last week. It was a great show. Like, it really was a great show. What do we do on our show? I mean, just get to know other people on Twitch. That's the general synopsis of what that show is. Now, I do another stream in addition to that each week where I do classic video games. I just tried it once, and then people kind of found it, so I kind of do that too. So I'm actually doing two things. I would probably be considered a variety streamer, but the principal show is an interview show where that's pretty much it. That's just me hanging out with a friend that I know from Twitch. And we get to eat sandwiches, and who doesn't enjoy sandwiches? It's a great, it's an unbelievable draw. I'm actually blown away by how popular this show already is. I'm like, thank you so much. Thank all of you so much for being a part of it. That's all it is. I'm just trying to chat with people and get into all sorts of topics. We can talk sports too. Like I love sports. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. I unfortunately, just because of a timing thing, don't get to catch them live, but I've enjoyed checking out the VODs, right? I really enjoyed that you had Josh on, somebody who's been on one of my other shows as well, and he's a great interview. And so, but I'm always bummed because I always want to like respond to what's going on in chat, but it's a VOD, so I can't. And I'm like, things I would have said in that moment. So I really do appreciate your community and how a lot of the communities from the different streamers that you're interviewing travel over and they give it a different flavor every week. And so if people are interested in cool interviews, it kind of reminds me of like Hot Ones in the sense that I think eating a sandwich can like opens people up a little bit and like it makes them a little bit more vulnerable. And you also have candy that you showcase at times. And
a bonus order right now if you want.
Nice.
I have some extra Reese's. Would you like your
Nice.
Reese's?
Yes, I would. They're my favorite candies. So yeah, and he does a great starting five segment where he introduces chat, which I think is one of my favorite segments. So anyway, everyone check out Davey's Eating a Sandwich and over on Twitch, and Davey and I'll join him on his show, and I'll have him on my other show as well sometime in the near future. But Davey,
I will you as well, Robbie. We got to get you on the sandwich show.
Yes, for sure. I will definitely join you in the next couple of weeks in the sandwich show. But Davey, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks so much, Robbie. Appreciate the invite.
Yes, of course. All right, Tim, I'm going to let you go next. Tim, I know that you're away this week, but I'll let you give any of your final thoughts before I let you go. Or how are the Ravens doing with the offseason? I didn't even mention that.
They they look good. They had a big signing, Justin Houston. I'm not happy that Lamar Jackson didn't get the vaccine and got COVID again. And today he said he's still not sure. So I won't get into that. But they look pretty good in training camp. I guess I'll give a quick shout out to the Wizards. Dinwiddie had a press conference today, I believe, to introduce him as the new Wizards starting point guard. And he said he's not going to be John Wall or Gilbert Arenas or Russ Westbrook, which is definitely true. He has some big shoes to fill, but I'm excited for him to team up with Beal. I think that was a really good signing. And so hopefully the new look Wizards will be good next year. But just final thought on the Olympics. I know a lot of people hated on this Olympics and it wasn't the best, but I'm glad it happened. You know, everything in between the opening ceremony and closing ceremony was great. Not those weren't the best, but it really does bring the world together. I'm happy that it happened. It's a good kind of summer entertainment thing.
Real quickly though, I do wonder if they should have delayed it. I get it for revenue purposes, but I think it's great that NBC basically dictated that these athletes had to play in this extreme heat because they were like, we want our ratings. And they were like, well, it's really hot. And they were like, we don't care. And then, like, Japan gets the blame because, like, you know, it's hot. But, like, it's not their fault. But...
Yeah, the Japanese government, I mean, I guess they could have stopped it if they want. And they deserve a little bit of criticism. But I don't know if it was a huge COVID super spreading event. I guess that's jury's still out. But yeah, it's the TV, it's the NBC deal. It's the people that signed the contracts. I mean, they made this happen at this time, whether or not the Japanese citizens wanted it. So I don't know. I guess because they run the TV shows, no one's allowed to criticize them. But
yeah,
you know, it's not like you said. They're the ones that dictate everything.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, Tim, I appreciate you for joining us the whole season. We went NBA and then we rolled it into Olympics, and so I could give you probably a couple weeks off at least until some basketball or some big news happens. But you're always welcome on the show, as you know, and I'll see you Sunday.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Sounds good.
Bye.
All right, Arun. You are the last of the roundtable and the longest running member of the roundtable. You've been on our team since season 1. Arun, any you actually have RG3 news?
Yeah,
like real one, like not like fake up, like try to fit it in. Like the longest running segment on this show for people who don't know on Twitch is Arun tries to find RG3 news every single week for years now. And this week there actually was real news. So Arun, let us know what's breaking RG3 news.
Yeah, RG3 is going to be a college football analyst, and for now, he's stepping away from the NFL, but he does have an opt-out clause for his job if he gets an NFL job. And I'm going to say, why not RG3? If you get a job, you should hold on to both jobs and be a college football analyst, and you can be a backup in the NFL. So RG3 earning those paychecks.
Nice. All right, Arun, any final thoughts on either the Olympics or anything else before we let you go?
Just on the Wizards, Spencer Dinwiddie, Tim mentioned, but the signing bonus if he wins the title is a whole $1. So I'll give him $2.
I thought that was a typo. That's the real thing. It's $1.
Yeah.
Why? Why is that even a thing?
I think they were just like, I think they're just trolling everyone, and I don't know. Like he does get a bigger playoff bonus if he makes it to the second round. He gets.
Like, you get a bigger bonus to get it to the second round than winning the finals, Carol. I don't know if you saw this, but like, I was like, why? Like, what? Don't you want to incentivize getting to the finals? I mean, I guess it's not de-incentivizing. You get a whole buck, you can maybe get a soda for it, but like, I don't know. It just seems kind of.
Spencer Dinwiddie, he put a lot of his money into Bitcoin, so I think he's going to be doing just fine, even without the Wizards money.
That's true. All right, Arun. Well, thank you for all the latest breaking news. We'll definitely talk to you soon.
All right, thanks for having me on.
All right, man, take it easy, Rube.
All right, big show. It was fun, Carol, breaking it down, bringing in those Twitch guys, and we had our biggest audience on Twitch that we've had in a while. Tons of comments, tons of people tuning in. I know you don't have the chat screen open, but just lots of great conversations happening over there with lots of friends. So I really appreciate everyone for tuning in over there, and it's really cool to see our Twitch stream blow up a little bit. You know, I know that when we started, it wasn't as popular, and so I appreciate people joining from no matter what platform they're on, right? Whether they're on Facebook or Twitter or Twitch or whatever, YouTube, we're on them all. So, but Carol, any final thoughts before I raid and we head on and we call it a podcast 236?
Nothing much. Just if Ken is still DC's People Champ is still on your feed, I was watching the end of Monday Night Raw, and Randy Orton had just beat AJ Styles, and the guy Riddle had came out and helped him. He embraced them because they're trying to be tag team. He wants them to be tag team partners, and Randy Orton RKO'd them after he helped him distract the big guy and win the match. So, yeah, I was watching some wrestling. You know, I've been peeping out of WWE lately. You know, Ken always has a great coverage on No Spots podcast, so make sure you check that out. Make sure you check out the website, sportsothp.com, for all the latest content, the podcast partners, the apparel line. You can hit me up for the Sports OTHP apparel, partnered by Eric Kusa. Just be on the lookout for so much more stuff we got in the works. I'm working on some things to, you know, try to get some more time to devote back to the show, to get those great interviews and footage and videos that I normally do. Just haven't had the time to do it. But yeah, we got some things in the works. Football season's right around the corner. I'm reaching out to a couple of venues to see about a pre-game show like we used to do down in Martinis. So be on the lookout for that. If you're in the market for a new or used vehicle, come holler at me down in Waldorf Honda, 2450 Crane Highway. I was off today and off tomorrow, but I'll be back in there Wednesday. So don't hesitate to hit me up if you're looking to get that deal done. I'm going to end the show, as always, on my end with some independent music videos. I'm throwing my little bro, I ain't talked to him in a while, but I'm play his reaction band, throw some Renegade up there. And, you know, we got to throw my girl in there from New Zealand, TJ May Pro. She got a new record, new track she just dropped. I'm going to get that on the show soon. So just be on the lookout. Make sure you check out At The Bar Radio every Sunday night starting around 6 o'clock. Talking politics, sports, current events, entertainment news, and of course, independent music. And DC Sports are the politics. It's not just a catchphrase. It's not just a motto. It's what we do. Appreciate y'all checking out episode 236, and we see y'all next week. Yeah.
money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. And you don't really wanna play. You don't know what to say. It's money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really wanna play. You don't know what to say. Cause money's what I'm talking about. Money, make you shut him mouth. Don't never ever talk about it if you never had the clout. You don't know what to say. Stay up out of my way. Cause money, make you shut him mouth. Keep playing with this Goonies, boy, I'm gonna have to make the call. Stay in bounds on your pivot, boy, if you gon' ball. Cause a lot of niggas be fake, and you really can't play. Cause we done got it out the mud, nigga, what you talking about? Screaming, oh my God, money got me pride. They living a lie, look into my eyes, they might seem surprised, this is homicide. We just multiply, we been on the rise. If we got some wings, fuck it, we gon' have to fly. Money's what I'm talking about. Day in my life, take me a different route. And use all my case, niggas on my face. You can get erased, what you talking about? Money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. And you don't really wanna play. You don't know what to say. Cause money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really wanna play. You don't know what to say. Cause money's what I'm talking about. You never crossing these borders. I'm whipping it up, Gordon Ramsay. I swear that I'm cooking these orders. You talk about me, you better just hope that you can just really afford it. I'm ballin', I'm winning, I'm feeling like Robert's a horrid. Nigga, I'm scoring, I count in the morning. They talk about me, then I gotta ignore it. My bitches be foreign, so independent, my money be corporate. These raps is boring. You hate me and I'm always gonna adore it. I'm smoking that soaring. She always go ahead and let me explore it. I call her my Dora. You can go and talk about me, I ain't flawless. I go put my all in. If a nigga talk about me, then I'm gone in. You know that I'm gone in. Jump in, take trips, Pompeii. All day, always keep 3 stacks like Andre. I get it, man. And you can never, ever get rid of that. So watch what you say, and watch how you do. If you playing the game, then you play by the rules. Money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you been talking about. And you don't really wanna play. You don't know what to say. Cause money's what I'm talking about. We don't really know what you always been talking about. And I don't wanna be the one who always really talk about. And you don't really wanna play. You don't know what to say. Cause money's what I'm talking about.
Can you hear me? I am calling now out your name, and now I know, and I'm here, and you know it. It's all just the same, and I know it's gonna be disco. Take me to a place where everybody learns, where everybody sees, where everybody shows their love. I didn't think so. You know, that's right. champagne for you or me. I really didn't think so. I take a promise, I give it some love, I make a wish upon a star. You know you gotta get it right. You know you gotta get it right. Ooh, every little thing counts now. Every little bitty thing. Can you hear me? I am calling now out your name, and now I know, and I'm here, and you know it. It's all just the same, and I know it's gonna be disco. It'd be so cool just to celebrate all the love and all the hate. Let's go